So, this story isn't very dramatic, but it really creeped me out when it happened. I went to a Catholic college, and the first semester of my freshman year, something creepy happened. After I finished my first class of the day, I decided to go to Mass at the campus chapel before my next class. As I was walking, this random guy came up to me. He greeted me and told me I was beautiful. Being a stupid freshman who had never really gotten attention from guys before, I stopped to listen to him. He kept on talking, saying I was beautiful and stuff, and at the end of it he asked me if I was available. I was flabbergasted. Now, this guy looked older than me, maybe mid-20s to 30s. Not knowing what to say, I turned him down, saying that I was a freshman and that there was probably a significant age difference between us. I asked him if he went to school here, and he said that he didn't. He was just here for the free Wi-Fi. At this point, I wanted to leave. I politely shook his hand and tried to make my escape. He shook my hand, and he looked at me and said,
"Can I kiss your hand?"
Right when I was in the middle of saying no, he dove in and kissed my hand. He apologized once he realized his mistake, but I was still creeped out. Finally, I left and headed to the chapel. I tried to laugh this creepy encounter off, but after that day, I cried really hard about it. I was so embarrassed and creeped out. After that day, I might have spotted that guy in passing about once, but thankfully I've never spoken to him again. I know this story isn't very scary, and it might be removed for not fitting the guidelines, but I wanted to share it anyway. So, creepy guy, let's not meet again. This happened to me and my god sister when we were around 19, and it's crazy how I've become numb to things like this happening because of the area I live in, but here we go. Disclaimer: we were young and dumb, but obviously spiritually protected from our stupid actions. One day we were walking around our neighborhood, and a car pulled up to us with two guys slightly older than us inside. We said our hellos and our introductions, and they used the line that would hook almost any young chick in my neighborhood.
"You want to smoke?"
Nah, we weren't that stupid, and didn't just go with any guy that offered us weed. That line was said to us often. But we didn't get weird vibes from these guys, because they were around our age, and didn't seem hood, involved in gang life, drug deals, etc. You know what I mean. One seemed more timid, and on the nerdy side, and the other seemed like more of a troublemaker, but not too much of a hoodlum. We told them we were from the other side of the city, a lie we used for protection, and asked where they wanted to smoke at. They said they lived around the corner from where we were at the moment, so we agreed to go and got in the car. We were nervous that they were going to take us to an abandoned trap house, so we paid attention to where we were going. A different type of nervous struck me when we realized they took us to their grandmother's house. I'd rather get scolded by police than by a grandmother. We went inside and no one was home, so we smoked a few blunts and were having a good time, just laughing and talking. All of a sudden, the troublemaker asks, "So who's giving me head?" We were shocked. His boy just hung his head low. So of course, we said we weren't on that, and we're gonna head out, so we asked for a ride back to where he picked us up at. We went inside and no one was home, so we smoked a few blunts and were having a good time, just laughing and talking. All of a sudden, the troublemaker asks,
"So who's giving me head?"
We were shocked. His boy just hung his head low. So of course, we said we weren't on that, and that we were gonna head out. So we asked for a ride back to where he picked us up, and the conversation went like this.
"Hell no, I'm not taking y'all bitches nowhere. Y'all some users."
Users? We just met you.
"Man, get the hell out of my house before I put y'all out."
Okay, later.
And we leave. Now, he didn't know this, but our aunt lived on the same block as him, and my sister's house was a few streets down. We started walking to my sister's house, and about 5 minutes into our walk, the troublemaker pulls up alongside of us.
Now, you know I was just kidding, right? I didn't think you guys were really just gonna leave.
We don't joke like that. Thanks for the smoke session. Bye.
I reply.
"Come on, I was playing. I'll give you a ride."
No, we're okay. We're walking.
"Get in the damn car. Y'all bitches do too much."
At this point, my sister and I are starting to get aggravated.
Go the fuck away!
My sister screamed at him.
"Oh, so you think y'all too good, huh? Man, fuck y'all stupid bitches."
And he floors it forward. We watch him turn the corner and speed off. We continue walking forward, and as we approach the same corner, we start to hear the sound of fireworks coming from all around us. We stopped walking and started looking around for the source, just as something metallic hit the stop sign, and then the ground, causing us to look for it. We thought somebody was throwing something at us. My sister spotted it and kicked it over to me. It was a bullet. We turned around, and the troublemaker was in the car with a gun pointed out toward us. As we spotted him, he floored it in reverse, and we never saw him again. It was the weirdest and almost the most dangerous situation I've ever been in. We thought it was fireworks because it was one of those small Austin Powers guns, but a bullet is a bullet, and if you didn't have terrible aim, we could be dead instead of royally pissed off. So, psychotic stoner guy, please, let's meet again, so I can show you how not to miss. This all happened when I was 19. My friends and I all lived in a super cheap 3-bed trailer that was in rural Tennessee. We were all around the same age, worked crappy jobs. Our living room is essentially a practice studio for our musical projects. We basically jammed, partied, and smoked entirely too much weed. One night we were hanging out, a small group of my friends just doing our usual thing. As the night went on, the munchies hit, and another friend who had just showed up offered to take us to pick us up some food at the local gas station. I chose to stay behind and send my order with them. They returned 20 minutes later with another car following them. Everyone comes in, and I'm introduced to Tony. Apparently, Tony had approached my friends and was interested in buying or trading for my friend's car. He apparently was offering my friend a really good deal, too good to be true. So they allowed him to come back to our place to talk about the deal. Tony comes in and essentially just joins in the party, telling us about all the great drugs he has at his apartment in a city 2 hours away, rattling on and on about how he did a bunch of coke earlier. Not being totally obnoxious or belligerent in any way, just telling tall tales to a bunch of stoners. As the night goes on, it comes up in conversation that we have to move out of our current dwelling due to some girl drama that happened within our friend group, and the guy who owns the house gave us a month to get out. Tony is ever so sympathetic to our situation and tells us about this house he owns that just needs a little work, and if we'll help him work on it, we can live in it for free for as long as we need. It's getting late, but he says he'll take us there in the morning and asks if he can just sleep on the couch until then. We allow it and get up early the next morning to go see the house. First, though, Tony wants us to see his collection of awesome cars. We load up in my friend's shitty little Ford, and Tony talks my friend into letting him drive because he knows the way. On the way there, he points out random businesses and buildings and claims to own them all. We continue, and he takes us out deep in the country. Like so far, I could never find my way back if I tried. We pull up to a nice old 2-story house. Sure enough, there's a bunch of cars there. He introduced us to his mother briefly and took us up to his room to show us some guitars he had. At this point, as weird as all this seems, much of what he said has checked out. So, we're off to check out the free house. We arrive there pretty quickly. It's got some fire damage on the lower level, but seems structurally sound. He's showing us around, and about 10 minutes in, a big pickup truck rolls up. And an old farmer type guy gets out with his shotgun and asks why we're on his property. We scramble to point the blame at Tony and tell the guy that he said he owns the place. The old man says no, that the property is his, and Tony goes on a spiel about how he just bought it, and that the old man must not have gotten the paperwork yet. We leave. Tony keeps going on about how that guy is just crazy and senile, and he'll take care of it. We take Tony back home to his car, tell him we've all got to go to work, and he's got to go. We never heard from Tony again. So, fake rich guy that got a gun pulled on me and my friends in an abandoned house. Let's not meet. Okay, so this happened when I was around 9 years old. I'm 25 now. It's something I will never forget. It gives me goosebumps to this day. I live in a terraced house, 4 houses combined, and my neighbors and I each have our own little patio. There's a small road 10 meters from my yard where people do their Sunday walks and so on. Only a small fence separates my small yard and patio from that road. I live in a pretty crowded area, with several of these terraced houses spread around in my neighborhood. So seeing people walk on that road is pretty normal for me. Seeing random people standing on my patio is not. When I was 9, I usually got home from school about an hour before my mom got home from work. I lived maybe 50 meters away from school, so my mom figured I was mature enough to be home alone for around an hour before she got home. This one day I got home from school, I did the usual thing, which was to make sure I locked the front door and double-checked that the back door leading to the patio was also locked. I was 9. Being alone was a little scary, even though it was in the middle of the day and only for 1 hour. I then rushed to my room upstairs to play as much PlayStation as possible before my mom came home and made me do my homework. While I was playing, I heard this noise coming from outside my window. My room was located 1 floor over the patio, with a view to the road I told you about before. It was kinda like the sound of a cat, but my cat had been missing for over 3 months. Hope sparked, and I thought,
Oh my god, did he finally come back?
I ran downstairs to check if it was actually my cat, but the sight that met me gives me goosebumps just writing this. There was a guy standing on my patio. A tall guy with black hair covering half of his eyes, making him look like a male version of the Ring woman or something. I could hear him making high-pitched sounds, almost like a cat meowing. A brown liquid was running down from his mouth, and I could see him spitting out my dad's stomped-out cigarettes. He was actually eating from the ashtray. I was frozen observing this. Eventually I snapped out of it and screamed so loud that the man must have heard it. He didn't react. He kept on eating from the ashtray. I ran upstairs to my room, locked the door, and called my mom, who then called the cops. I've never been more terrified in my life. Laying in bed under my sheets, shivering with fear, I hear these creepy, high-pitched noises from the guy eating cigarette butts from the ashtray on my patio. I kinda blacked out for a moment, because the next thing I remember is the police arriving on the road by my yard. I heard them talking to the guy, saying stuff like,
What are you doing?
Get over here, or we will come down and arrest you.
and so on. He didn't respond, but the high-pitched sounds was more frequent and louder. I decided to look through the window, feeling safe now that the cops were there. I could see 2 police officers standing by my fence, 1 man and 1 woman. I did not see the creepy man, however, because he was standing directly 1 story under me in my field of view. The police jumped the fence and I remember hearing the creepy guy screaming louder than anything I've ever heard before in my life. He charged the female police officer with full force, and he knocked her out cold. The male officer then immediately tased the guy, leaving him shaking on the ground, still screaming. The policeman struggled to keep him on the ground while putting handcuffs on him, but eventually got him restrained. After a while, he managed to wake up the female officer, who seemed to be badly hurt. He called for backup and an ambulance, and then he sees me standing in the window above him. The expression on my face must have been something else, because he just looked at me and said,
"I sure as hell hope you didn't see all that."
I started to cry. But this time neighbors started to arrive, wondering what the hell was going on. One of my neighbors, an elderly woman, made me come down, and she took care of me until my mom came back home. The police took the creepy guy with them in the car and left. Before they left, they promised to come back and to talk to us about what had happened. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The male police officer came back later that night and sat down with me and my mom to talk. He explained that the guy in my patio was actually diagnosed with severe autism. He had escaped a facility where mentally challenged people live, located around 5 kilometers from where I live. He explained that the guy had actually been living in my house 5 years ago, but he had been forced to move when his mom, his only caretaker, died. The poor guy probably thought he would find his mom in my house. He missed the routines, and he missed living there with his mom. The police had to move him from the house that time 5 years ago because he was extremely strong. From what I heard, he had extreme tensions in the body because of the autism, making his muscles grow stronger and stronger throughout the years. This was the reason he reacted the way he did when the police came this day. Still frightened, I told the police officer that he needed to make sure this would never happen again. He promised it wouldn't. After a few sleepless nights, my life got back to normal. The years went by, and the guy didn't come back until 1 year ago. At this time, my mom and dad had moved out. I bought the house from them, and I'm still living here today. I was enjoying my morning coffee on the patio when I see this random guy stopping on the road by my fence. He just stands there, looking at me. I look at him and give him a nod, and then I hear the high-pitched noises. Holy shit, it's him. His hair had turned gray, but the high-pitched sounds made me realize. My heart started racing, and I instantly remembered the reason why he was back. I realized he must have been able to escape again. Because I kept my cool a bit longer than when I was 9, I started to realize how sorry I felt for the guy. 16 years later, and he was back to look for his mom. I decided to carefully ask him if he wanted to come down to the patio. He instantly jumped the fence. I started to think he would knock me out, like he did that police officer. He didn't. He smiled. He looked at me and smiled. I offered him to sit down. He didn't respond. I offered him to come inside. He started laughing. We went inside. His face lit up. Pure joy. He was home. It reminded him of the life he had with his mom. It almost made me tear up. All of a sudden, he sat down on my couch, turned on my TV, and switched directly to the cartoons. I observed him for a while. He was just completely focused on the cartoons. I just wanted him to enjoy the moment, so I didn't say anything to him. I realized I had to call the facility to let them know. The caretakers arrived 10 minutes later. After a lot of convincing, he got back up, crying, and then went back to the facility. I called the facility 2 days later, and we made a deal. His name is Tom, and I now consider Tom my friend. Every Sunday, from the day he returned, Tom and his caretakers visit me to watch cartoons. They say it's the highlight of his week. It makes my heart warm. Now, for several years, my thoughts were, let's not meet a guy on my patio eating from the ashtray. Now, my thoughts are, let's meet every Sunday to watch cartoons, my friend Tom. So, for some backstory. About 6 months ago, I, a 17-year-old female, had a boyfriend, a 19-year-old guy named Levi, who would walk me home every night so I could stay out until much later. One night, he decided that instead of walking me home, he would go with one of his friends, a guy named Henry, who was my age, to get some beers, knowing that he'd be given a drink too. I am about 5'3", and I'm fairly thin, and Harry is at least 6 foot, and has a fairly big build. He could have easily overpowered me at any time, and I didn't particularly want him walking to my house with us, drunk, despite the fact that they both told me it was fine. Let's start the story with how I ended up meeting this guy. Levi and I were on our way home to my house, and this guy was in the bus station. He called Levi over, and I tried to pull him away. The following conversation then went like this.
Baby, come on. I need to be in by 10, and it's 25 till.
Come on, I haven't seen this guy in ages.
I don't even know him.
He's cool, trust me. You'll love him. His name is Harry, huge nerd, just like us.
I'm really not comfortable with this.
I'll get you home on time, I swear. He didn't, by the way, and my parents were furious with us. Levi then proceeds to drag me over to Harry, and Harry hugs me and kisses my forehead, telling Levi that he's got a good one here, and that I'm really sexy. Levi thinks nothing of these comments, and decides to agree with Harry that they should have a drink. He turns to me and asks if one drink is okay for him to have. I'm not happy with this arrangement, so I say to him,
No, I'm not really okay with that. I'm going home even if I have to walk by myself.
Levi sighs and decides that he wouldn't have a drink with Harry, but he would buy him a crate of beers if Harry gives him the money. Harry gave him the money, and we walked to the shop. I was extremely upset by this arrangement, and before Levi could go into the shop, I pulled him to the side and talked to him about it.
Levi, I need to get home or my mom will be pissed.
Babe, trust me, it'll be fine.
I really don't like this guy. He's giving me weird vibes. At least let me come into the shop with you while you buy the beers. I won't go anywhere near you. I'll just enter the shop at a similar time, buy some sweets after you, and leave. I won't even look at you.
You can't, babe. Just don't talk to him. You'll be fine. He's really cool, I swear. Levi then went into the shop, and I had to stand by Harry whilst Levi bought him his drinks. And what I, at the time, thought was the weirdest conversation ever occurred, with me putting in the bare minimum amount of effort at responding.
So, what's your name?
Huh? Oh, sorry, but I'm pretty sure I just heard Levi tell you it.
He'd been eyeing me up the entire walk to the shops, and I wasn't too comfortable giving him my name, as he was currently standing over me and watching me scroll through Twitter.
Well, whatever your name is, I bet it's as sexy as you are. You know, I could kiss you right now. I won't because me and Levi are good friends, but you're hot.
Cool.
You don't talk much, do you?
Meh.
As someone with autism, I don't usually talk much, and I had been stimming since the guy hugged me.
You're actually really hot. I bet you prefer me over Levi. I'm probably bigger than him.
That's super inappropriate, dude. I just met you.
All I'm saying is that I'd probably be a better fuck than him.
Levi then comes out of the shop and approaches me, and my leg starts to ache. I had previously sprained my ankle, and I was on my monthlies. I tend to get pain and cramps in my thighs during this time. I whisper to Levi, saying,
Hey, baby, my leg is hurting, and Harry's being really inappropriate. Can we just get home?
Levi proceeds to brush my comment off and offer Harry to walk back with us. At this point, I was really upset. My boyfriend was ignoring my very obvious concern and offering this guy to basically walk me right to my house. He then decided that I was being a bit controlling by not wanting him to have a beer, so he asked Harry if he could have one and told me it was just one, babe. I won't die. He was being a bit of a prick, and if my dad didn't have work that night, then I would have immediately called him for a lift home. On the walk back, I was ignoring the boys, but Levi did not just have one beer. He had 3. Harry had 5 and put the last 2 in his bag. When we got to the park, my leg had started to hurt really bad, so I decided to tell Levi. He ignored this comment, and eventually my leg gave out below me, and he carried me for about 10 minutes. Once my leg had eased out, we were about 10 minutes away, and that's when Harry started being really creepy.
You have a great ass, love.
Please don't talk to my girlfriend like that. It's really inappropriate.
I told you he was being inappropriate. I really don't want him walking back with us the rest of the way.
Alright, I'll talk to him.
Thank you.
I was happy I was finally being taken seriously. But before Levi could say anything to Harry, Harry had made the most inappropriate comment since we had met him.
I'm a sadist, but like extreme sadist. Blood turns me on big time. Have you ever cut her, Levi?
What the fuck, dude? That's a disgusting way to talk. I haven't cut my girlfriend.
Damn, that's a shame. She looks kinky. She'd probably enjoy it.
Harry, I'm gonna need you to stop walking with us and go home.
Bro, come on. I want to make sure she gets home safe. She looks so fragile.
By this point, I was visibly uncomfortable. I had grabbed Levi's hand and realized that I couldn't look scared or he'd take advantage of it. I straightened myself up and took a deep breath.
I don't want you here. Go home.
See, she doesn't want you here either, man. Dude, just go home.
Alright, whatever, dude.
He walked away, and I'd realized that he'd stopped around 5 or 6 meters in front of us. I saw his outline ahead of us, in the dark, and heard a smash from where he was. Levi squeezed my hand, and we saw him walking back up to us.
Levi, bro, I'm sober, I swear. There's broken glass down there and it's dangerous. Just let me walk with you guys. She's gonna get hurt.
Look, you can walk with us to the end of the canal, man. Then you gotta piss off. Also, walk in front of us.
This is good. I can keep her safe.
Sure you can, mate. Don't worry, babe. I'll make sure he doesn't hurt you, even if I've got to put myself in harm's way.
I would kill someone if they turned me on enough. Literally would love the blood. I stamped on a live squirrel. Actually, I would kill you if Levi wasn't here. I'd fuck your body too. And definitely the wound.
Shut up, dude.
This is where I smashed the bottle.
I looked at him and saw that his knuckle was bleeding. I also saw that by his feet was half of a bottle. Then it clicked in my mind. He smashed half of the bottle and was probably planning to attack us with it. I squeezed Levi's hand, and he must have seen it too, because he positioned himself slightly in front of me and pulled up the keypad on his phone, probably ready to dial 999, and we continued to walk. Harry looked at the bottle and then continued to walk, which gave me slight relief, but I was still scared.
I usually carry a knife, just in case.
Dude, we're at the main road. You can leave now. My dad is on his way to pick us up.
Alright, bro. I can pick up the basic signs. I'll leave. See? I'm walking away.
Harry walked about a meter away and went into the bus stop, and I saw my father's car. I nudged Levi, and we walked towards it. Ignoring Harry in the bus stop, staring at us with blood dripping down his other hand, my guess is that he punched the concrete wall. We sped up a little and got into my dad's car, getting a huge lecture about being late and about how he had to call in sick from work to look for me, and we apologized. When we stopped up at a junction to turn up to go home, about 9-ish meters from the bus stop, I looked out of the window and saw him standing outside of the bus station and waving at us. While writing this, I am legitimately shaking. I am on the phone to my current boyfriend and can't get Harry's voice and words out of my head. I still get scared taking the bins out if it's dark, and I was drunk a few weeks after my 18th, and as we were walking to get food, I was sobbing and clinging to one of my friends, telling her about this story. Needless to say, I never want to see this guy ever again. Thank you all for listening. Please, if you have not already, leave me a like and subscribe to this channel. Also, visit my gaming channel. The link will be in the description down below, along with the links to the stories I have read here today. I hope my telling of these tales has entertained you, as well as caused a shiver to run down your spine. Till next time, farewell.